Good evening, everyone. My name is Aditi, and I'm going to talk about a topic that is caste versus class in determining the voting patterns of India, empirical trends post 2000. Well, in the beginning of my topic, I would like to talk about the patterns of election and the processes, like in a country like India, where it's the world's largest democracy and its function within a complex social fabric woven with threads of caste and class. Now, since independence, scholars and political observers have debated the extent to which caste or class is the more decisive factor in determining voting behavior. While both are influential, and the interplay between caste, identity, and economic class has shifted significantly in the post 2000s period, influencing by economic liberalization, changing political mobilization, and the expansion of welfare politics. Now, next we'll talk about its theoretical background, and in this, we are going to understand what is the term caste and caste refers to. So basically, caste refers to the hierarchical social stratification unique to South Asia, often determined by birth and associated with specific traditional occupations, and it has been a significant axis of political mobilization since the colonial period, with distinct caste groups such as Brahmins, Dalits, and OBCs, and becoming its electoral vote banks. And class, in contrast, is primarily an economic category reflecting material conditions like income, occupations, and educations. And class based voting reflects concern over economic inequality, employment, and social welfare, which may cut across caste lines. Now, in practice, caste and class are mutually exclusive. For example, SC and STs are often among the poorest, while upper castes are overrepresented among the rich. And however, political mobilization has historically leaned more heavily on caste identities, especially at regional level. Now, I'm going to talk about the political shift of post 2000 and their implications. So it is divided into two parts. The first one is rise of regional parties, and second one is economic liberalization. In 1990s, witnessed the consolidation of caste-based politics with the Mandal Commission implementation and the rise of parties like BSP and SP. And this trend continued into the 2000s, especially in states like UP and Bihar, where caste equations dictated political alliances and vote banks. Like, for example, the BSP's core support base remains with Dalits, while the SP built its coalition around Yadavs and Muslims. Now, these trends were confirmed by data from the Lokniti CSDS post poll surveys, which consistently showed that over 60% of the Yadav votes for the SP and 70% of Jats, a Dalit subcaste, for the BSP during this period. Now, second is economic liberalization. Post 2000 growth created a middle class prioritizing development and governance over caste. And the success of Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi can be attributed in part to this class based mobilization, appealing to lower middle class and middle class voters across caste lines by promising clean governance, affordable services, and transparency. Now, next come the empirical voting trends, caste as a persistent factor. Now, between 2004 to 2009, SCs and STs largely supported Congress and UPA coalitions, reflecting historical alliances. And between 2014 and 2019, BJP extended into BJP expanded into SCs and OBCs votes by reconfiguring caste coalition and neutralizing narrow caste parties. And upper caste consistently backed BJP, and Muslims largely avoided it, showing caste continued influence despite economic narratives. Next one is caste based mobilization, a growth but limited force. Now, while caste remains dominant, caste based appeals have gained traction in a specific context. First one is welfare politics and economic class. So from 2014 to 2019, Modi government focused on welfare schemes such as Ujjwala, LPG cylinders, Jan Dhan bank accounts, and PM Kisan targeted the economically disadvantaged across the caste people. Now this helped BJP to gain support among poorer sections including Dalits, Adivasis, traditionally aligned with opposition parties. However, studies show that even beneficiaries of these schemes voted based on both caste and class identities. For instance, while Dalit women who received free gas cylinders were more likely to vote BJP, and upper caste men who also received benefits did so more consistently. Now, second is the model in Delhi. So, Aam Aadmi Party's electoral model in Delhi, particularly between 2015 and 2020, relied on class-based issues such as subsidized electricity, water, education, and healthcare. And here, the poor and lower middle class voters cutting across caste lines supported the party. Second one is, the last one is intersectionality, caste and class overlapped each other. Now, rather than a binary, caste and class often intersects. Like the poor, Dalits, and Adivasis have distinct political priorities from middle class OBCs or urban upper casted. So now, even class-based mobilization require caste representation, showing class gains are not independent of class considerations. Next one is intersectionality, caste and class overlap. They have varied priorities. Like poor Dalits and Adivasis differ politically from middle class OBCs or urban upper caste due to distinct social and economic realities. Second one is economic mobility. Rising OBC economic status explains BJP's appeal to non-Yadav OBCs, promising representation and advancement. Third one is neighborhood effect. Urban slums dwellers with similar incomes may vote differently based on caste and local networks. Now, I'm going to talk about the effect of social media, and there are some key case studies as well. So, post 2000, digital campaigns blend caste and development narratives, engaging youth who focused on governments but retain caste consciousness. And if we are going to, if we talk about the case studies, we have Bihar Assembly elections 2015 to 2020. Like in 2015, the Grand Alliance of JDU and RJD Congress mobilized caste arithmetic effectively against the BJP, emphasizing Yadav Muslim Dalit unity. Now in 2020, the BJP JDU alliance regained ground for fragmenting this coalition and appealing to economically mobile OBCs and EBCs, that is extremely backward caste, blending class aspirations with caste representation. While in West Bengal in 2021, caste has historically been less influential in Bengal because with class politics, especially leftist mobilization, playing a dominant role. However, the BJP attempted to introduce caste-based mobilization, particularly in a community like Matwa Dalits, while the TMC countered with broad-based welfare targeting the poorer. Now, this resulted in a highly competitive elections where caste-based welfare and identity politics both played a crucial roles. Now, we came to a conclusion. Uh, in conclusion, this caste and class plays a balanced power game with each other. Like in class gains, welfare and economic aspirations have increased class-based political influence, and in caste dominance, caste remains central in regional elections and political mobilization. Rather than caste being replaced by class, Indian electoral politics shows a hybridization, like in which voters interpret policies, parties, and promises through the dual lenses of caste and class. As long as social inequalities persist and identity remains politicized, caste will remain central. Yet, the growing role of class, especially through targeted welfare and urbanization, is a trend that cannot be ignored. Now, in future outlook, future political mobilization will likely depend on how parties negotiate this complex intersection, offering caste recognition with class elevation, identity with opportunities, and tradition with transformations. Thank you.